You're about to enter into a new world of knowledge, curiosities, and high strangeness. This is a podcast of Straight-Up Strange Productions.
Creepypastas, aka scary stories and media shared over and over again on the internet, are in no short supply these days. If you've heard of The Rake, Slender Man, or The No End House, chances are you're familiar with these online urban legends. According to the New York Times, creepypasta came from copypasta, a 4chan term describing the act of copying and pasting text in 2007. These disturbing stories have acted like wildfire, spreading quickly through communities like Reddit, Twitter, Tumblr, and, of course, 4chan. Kicking off Straight-Up Enigmas' special mini-series, 13 Nights of Halloween, is a creepypasta that may not sound especially familiar to you, but not unfamiliar either. This bite-sized, terrifying tale features at least two elements so popular in creepypastas: a haunted house and a man made entirely of shadow. I'm Jaden McKell, and you're listening to Straight Up Enigmas. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Before we start this week's episode, a quick reminder that if you enjoy the show, it would be great if you could head over to Apple Music, hit the subscribe button, and drop a review. It really helps out the show. If you've got a great creepy story to tell, send us an email at straightupenigmas@gmail.com or message us on Instagram at straightupenigmas or Twitter at straightenigmas. We'd love to hear it. While a lot goes into the production of this podcast, nothing would be possible without all of the articles I use in my research. Source information for these articles can be found in the show notes and on our website at straightupenigmas.home.blog. Straight Up Enigmas is excited to be part of the Straight Up Strange Productions Network. The network has a great lineup of creepy shows that explore myths and legends, true crime, unsolved history, dreams, and strange science. You can find our spooky family online at straightupstrange.com, Twitter at Strange Podcasts, and Instagram at Strange Pods. Be sure to follow the Straight Up Strange Network on social media to enter our pumpkin carving contest for amazing prizes like select retro comics, Canadian candy, stickers, magnets, bookmarks, and more. Thanks for listening, everyone, and without further ado, let's get back to the show. This happened in 2011, when I was 7. I'm a girl, now 14, and I just talked to my mother about this incident and decided to share it. So, I lived with my grandmother, father, mother, and 2 dogs quite far from any town. The house was big, so I played hide and seek with my mom a lot. I don't remember which month it was, so my mom filled me in on this. She said it was October, during the holidays. This one particular day, my dad was out driving my grandma to the hospital as she had an appointment with the doctor, so I was left alone with my mom. After several rounds of hide and seek and watching a movie with my mom, it began to get dark outside, and my dad still wasn't home. I've always been scared of potential home invasions, so I was paranoid all day because my dad wasn't with us. He made me feel very safe. My mom and I decided to play Monopoly. Fast forward an hour. When I was 7, I thought I was very sly, so I kept stealing money from my mom's stash. Now that I look back, she was probably pretending not to see. As I was taking a $50 bill from her Monopoly cash, she said, "The power will go out soon." This left me completely puzzled, as I had no idea how she'd know this. But sure enough, it went out about 15 minutes later, and I started to panic because, like most little kids, I was scared of the dark. She handed me this Nokia phone and let me play my favorite game on it, which at the time was Doom. She told me to go hide under the bed sheets if I was scared, and that she'd come back soon. I asked where she was going, but she didn't answer. As she headed out of the room, she locked the door. I lied under the sheets, killing some monsters on the game for what felt like hours but was probably only 5 minutes. I heard footsteps in the kitchen, which was next to the room I was in, so I took the sheets off my head and yelled out, "Mom?" I was glad that she was back because I was really scared, but I heard no answer. The footsteps didn't stop, so I yelled again, "Mom, can you please come? I'm scared." After I said that, the footsteps stopped completely. I got a sudden rush of adrenaline, so I held tight onto the phone and dashed out of the room to the kitchen, which was empty. I was puzzled but didn't wait for long as I ran to the door, unlocked it as there were keys on the inside, and ran to the corridor. The corridor has 4 doors on the right side, one at the very back, which I was never allowed to go in. I later learned that the room was where my great-grandma died and no one had touched it ever since. It also had stairs next to it leading to the 2nd floor and one at the front which led to the outside. The 4th door I came through was the closest to the outside door, so I quickly opened the outside door, ready to run out, but the rush of adrenaline was gone and I was scared of the outside too. It was very dark and I was barely able to see. My only choices were 1. Go back to the room I came from, or 2. Scream for my mother. I chose number 2 and started screaming for my mom over and over again. I guess I wasn't loud enough because there were no replies. I remember starting to sweat and panic, different scenarios playing through my little head. Scenarios like a murderer killing my mom and coming for me next, or my mom leaving me forever. I know, stupid, but I was only 7 after all. I remember looking down at my feet and beginning to cry. I heard more footsteps, but this time behind me. I looked behind me and saw the silhouette of a tall person. I assumed it was male due to the body build, at the end of the hallway, standing in front of the door. I can't recall what he looked like because it was all black. I stared at him for about 15 seconds in pure horror. This got my adrenaline pumping again, and I ran out of the door towards the outside toilet, only to be greeted by my mother, who looked worried. After I told her what happened through uncontrollable sobs, my dad was in the driveway, already parking his car. My granny was left at the hospital for some treatment. He searched the house but found no one, so my mom told me it was just my imagination. But I know what I saw and heard. Fast forward 7 more years. I live in another house, and I randomly remembered this incident and talked to my mom about it. She seemed quite hesitant about telling me this, but at the end I convinced her to tell me. What she said gave me chills. Apparently, when I was 4, I started to stare at one particular corner in the kitchen and laugh like crazy. My mom would ask me what was so funny, and every time I pointed to the same corner, but never told her why it was funny. After a few months, the random giggles I let out when staring at the corner didn't stop. What made my mom lose it was the fact that I started speaking random German words that I've never heard before. We have no relatives that are German or can speak German, and I wasn't introduced to technology at that age either. My mother knew it was German because she can actually speak a little bit but never spoke it fluently. She bribed me with candy to tell her how I learned to say the following words in German: it, help, chocolate, shower, and war. My response completely shocked her. I pointed to the same corner again and said, "He taught me how." My mom kept her cool though, asking me who I was talking about. I said, "The man who makes me laugh." My mom asked me what he looked like, but I only said he looks like a shadow and that he's from Germany. When she asked where the man lived, I pointed to the 2nd floor. This all made sense because I always hated the second floor and never went up there because I felt like I was being watched. My parents took it upon themselves to Google the history of the house, and sure enough, it was built by Germans. I don't remember any of this, but my mom kept on reassuring me it happened. My father said he remembers it too, but decided not to tell me until now. I talked to the German man in the corner up until 5 years of age. I'm pretty sure you can put 2 and 2 together, but if not, the man I saw when I was 7 was the same man I talked to when I was 4. Every time I go back to visit my grandma, I always feel uneasy. What do you think? Do shadow people really exist? Can houses actually be haunted? Find us on Instagram at Straight-Up Enigmas or Twitter at Straight Enigmas and let us know. You can also contact us through email at straightupenigmas@gmail.com or through our website, straightupenigmas.home.blog. If you like the show, please remember to hop onto Apple Music to give us a 5-star rating. It really helps the podcast. This episode was written and produced by me, Jaden McKell, and the theme song was created by Chuck Flyer. You can find information for the articles I used in my research in the show notes and on our website, straightupenigmas.home.blog. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Straight Up Enigmas.